comes to talk. So, a year ago today, that was Butler. I mean, it's hard to believe it's been a year, right? I mean, the year's gone by so fast, and I know everybody remembers where they were when they heard the president was shot. But I imagine most of you that are MAGA people were watching it live, right? And, here we are a year later. We still don't know jack about the whole incident, do we? I mean, my goodness, we know more about things that happened Friday than we know about that. But I do know this, and this is just a reality. I mean, what happened in Butler, which was a god-awful tragedy because a man was killed, 2 others were shot on top of the president being shot. But we know this, it was part of their efforts to stop President Trump from coming back to the presidency. And, the internal poll numbers that they had all last summer, all the way through, showed what was really going on. And Trump's numbers were just through the roof. And, what he has done in the first 6 months of the second and non-consecutive term is absolutely amazing. There's these things that sometimes they call them turning points. I'm not sure if this is the right word, inflection points, turning points. President Trump shut down the southern border completely, right? I mean, like last month, not one illegal came through. And that incident that happened Thursday at the pot farm in California, that's one of those turning point events, and I mean, look what's come out of that, right? We had the illegals, which basically, they got some kind of slave farm going on out there. They were attacking the National Guard soldiers that were there. We find out they have children working in the fields, so they have underage slave labor going on. There's a connection, the owner of that pot farm and is Newsom donor, and everything that goes along about this. And that's one of those moments when things really start to turn, because what's happened here is, since we have Trump people in charge of everything, and this falls under Homeland Security, because you're talking about the illegals. So we got Tom Homan, we got Christy. No, how many other farms in California, in particular, are slave farms like that one with underage children, right? Probably a lot of them, maybe even most of them, if you think about it. And I mean, how many are there like that around the country? So when something like that happens, it's an interesting thing how the media reaction. You got to admit, the media reaction is pretty pro-Trump overall, if you really look at it, isn't it? And the thing with the Democrats is this: the Democrat Party has always been a party about slavery. They enslaved blacks right before the Civil War, and then after the Civil War, they had this 100 years of Jim Crow, and the Democrats, they came up with, after the Civil War was over and everything started to settle, they came up with the sharecropper idea, which basically put blacks back in slavery, right, to the plantation owners through sharecropping, which was a big racket. If you don't know about that, read up on it. It'll blow your mind. The Democrats are just total scum, the things they do. And then when they got into the 20th century with Jim Crow, they continued their slave racket by the black codes they had in the South, arresting African Americans, putting them in county jails, and then they'd be working on farms and factories and plants. It was nuts. And here we are. I think about this. Here we are in 2025. The Civil War has been over for over 75 years, and then look what's going on here, right? The Democrats still have slavery going on in this country. There really never has. There's only been small little periods of time when the Democrats did not have slavery going on. And I don't know what it is about Democrats, but they just have this thing with slavery. And what President Trump is doing, and it really I know some people are calling this that they say slave wages and things. It's not the same kind of slavery pre-Civil War in the South that the Democrats had. It's a modern form of it, but it's still slavery. You know, when you have these farms, and they have other businesses where they have illegals working, they pay them next to nothing. They've got children working in the field. They have nowhere to go. That is slavery. And it's nice to see that people are calling this pot farm situation what it is, right? Child labor and slave wages and all of that, but it is modern day slavery. And the only times that the Democrats haven't had slavery going on in this country really is a very small period, maybe maybe from like 1970 until around 1990. Maybe there was a little period there they didn't have too much of it going on, but that's what they have. And it's not only a Democrat slave operation. What President Trump did, and you got to think about that. It's amazing what he's done here at the southern border. What was going on at the southern border was a modern day slave passage, just like the old slave ships coming from Africa, to the New World centuries ago. It was a similar thing. And there were more slaves coming from the southern border than from Africa on the ships. Those ships were small, and the Democrats, just in the last few years, have brought more slaves into this country than they did during the slave trade from Africa. And you see them advocating to continue it. And they have the same arguments they had back before the Civil War when the Republicans were saying, hey, we got to free the slaves. They're making the same arguments now that they were making. Well, who's going to do this job? Who's going to do that job? Who's going to bring me mint juleps? Who's going to clean my toilets? Who's going to mow my lawn? Who's going to pick my cotton? They're making who's going to pick my pot now, right? So the Democrats are making the same arguments in 2025 that they were making in 1855. You think about it, right? And that's just the way it is. And no other Republican other than President Trump made any serious moves to stop this slave trafficking. But President Trump, he did it. It's amazing. And he certainly deserves a lot of credit. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new to my channel. And tomorrow morning, I'll be taking live calls in the studio. But he's done a lot of other great things in the second term. But that alone, that's amazing. The overturning Roe v. Wade is in his first term. Avi, well, welcome, new to the channel. Welcome. Overturning Roe v. Wade through his Supreme Court, through his Supreme Court appointments. That was the first term. So, ending a slave trade like he's done, that's worthy of a Nobel Prize right there, isn't it? No question about it. No question about it. Anybody else would, but the Democrats won't acknowledge what it is or what it was and what he shut down. And certainly the media aren't going to do that either because they're a party to it. It's pretty amazing what he's done. Newsom's in big trouble. Newsom, his whole podcast and all this have been covering it. He's been setting the stage to run for president. And that's done. That's done. There's just been too many screw-ups going on, like this marijuana farm is the latest. Trump equals law and order. That's right. All right. Remember what Michael Savage used to say all the time, borders, language, culture. Borders, language, culture. And so we've got that now. Yep. And he deserves it. You think about, when they shot him in Butler a year ago today, I want you guys to think about this. These things that he's doing, like what I talked about with shutting down the border, the deportations, all of that, rounding up all the illegals, and deporting them. Doing these things is why they shot him in Butler, to stop him from being able to do them. Right? No, nothing like this has ever been done before, Ben. Nothing. Not at this level. There's been some small things here and there. Nothing has been done like President Trump is doing. Nothing. Yeah. So you got to remember that everything he's doing is why they shot him in Butler, to try to stop him from doing these things. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and you know, even you know, it was a total act of God that stopped. You know, that had the audio visual girl put the projection on the other side of the stage as normal, because that was the cue to the shooter. The shooter's cue, that monster in Butler, his cue to fire is when Trump went to that image. Remember, he went to the slide. He was doing it at all the rallies, going over the illegals coming into the country, comparing the numbers of him to the other presidents. That was the cue. They did it. He went to it earlier in the speech than expected, right? Just 11 minutes in, and it was on the other side of the stage than normal. If it had been where it normally was, that would have been it. That would have been it. I know, it's something. It's really amazing. Remember, Trump brought her out on stage at one of the events. You know, she saved Trump's life doing that. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and you know, a couple of things about it though, when you go back. You know, I've talked about this a lot because it's so important for people to understand. When Trump does a rally, when he gets to these rallies, he has so many things he's got to do behind the scenes. On top of all the security, he's got to meet and greet all the VIPs and all these people backstage, take pictures, meet and greets, and all this stuff. That rally in Butler, you know, there were two things with it that you never see. One, he came out on stage exactly on time, which he never does. I mean, they had him out there on the dot when he was supposed to be. Never came out exactly on time. He's always a little bit late, except that time. And, of course, the only rally during the whole campaign that was carried live on CNN. He was privy to a lot of things. Remember, they went to the break-in of Roger Stone's house. CNN was there when that happened. Exactly. So, I mean, it's you know, we're very lucky. We are all very lucky. Could you imagine, what would this country be like today if that would have turned out the wrong way? Oh, my goodness. Biden would be president, probably. He never would have dropped out. Or Kristi Noem and DeSantis. I mean, it would have been just a disaster where we would be. Oh, yeah. There's no getting around it. Things would be a disaster right now. Well, not only would the border be completely open. See, you got to understand, all this woke stuff's over now, right? It's all over. Companies are dropping, DEI, all this stuff. And the border shut down, all these things we're talking about. If Trump were not president, they would have taken it as a mandate to quadruple down on everything they're doing. Now, the border is locked down. They would have erased our southern border. They would have brought more people in this year than they brought in the 4 previous. And this woke nonsense would have been on steroids. And it's over now. I mean, so you got to think about how much we were saved by all of that. No, yeah, there's no getting around it. Now, make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to my channel. You know, and there was even a poll on CNN the other day. I mean, the majority, it was over 80% of people they polled want all illegals deported. All. I mean, think about that. I mean, that, a lot of people in the country, a lot more people are conservative than you realized, right? And so many people, they're afraid of these liberal wokesters because they're into their cancel culture and they're overrepresented in every aspect of everything. And they thought that this woke way was the way the majority of people thought, on top of the fact that they were afraid to speak their mind. They didn't want to get canceled. And now, after Trump's victory, a lot of people have come out of the closet as conservative and MAGA because they, like, wow, the majority of people think like me. They're against all this woke stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, the left, that I mean, look at this idiot with this Superman movie, right? Him and the director and his idiot brother come out and talk about how Superman represents the migrants and all this crap. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. And think about it. I mean, you've got this big movie coming out, this Superman movie. And I've seen a couple reviews that are like honest reviews from people online. And any of you guys know Neurotic on YouTube? He's on Piers Morgan all the time. He said if you've seen the trailers, you've seen the first half of the movie. And what can you imagine? And look what this idiot does. The director, this gun guy, takes out truth, justice, and the American way. See, that's one of the problems with the left and their woke crap. See, this movie was made a while ago. So this Superman movie wasn't made for the America we're in now. It was made for like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's America, right? Where it's somehow it's a negative or something to be shameful to say the American way. The American way is the best way. What country's way is better than the American way? Can you think of one? Think about it. What country in the world's way is a better way than the American way? Exactly. None. Oh, you can name. I didn't ask you to name countries. A country whose way is better. Have you been to Cayman Islands? It's a shithole, okay? I've been to the Cayman Islands. I was so, I went to my whole life, I heard about the great 7 Mile beach of the Cayman Islands. So I went there. The beach down the street from my house is more spectacular than that. I was surprised what a dump the Cayman Islands is. Yeah. No. What is Canada's way? Canada doesn't even have a way. Canada is a country that's desperately in search of an identity. A lot of them think they're like European. Some of them think they're like Americans. They're a country with no identity. And the beach is about this wide. The 7 Mile beach, it's about this wide, very thin beach. Yeah. Well, my perspective is an American perspective, and Superman is an American character. That's right. So, so no, I'm not going to pay to see that movie. Mm-mm. But I heard some other reviews of it that were just awful. All these positive reviews, it's just like all the media is fake. Remember when a few weeks back we had the Great Army Anniversary Parade? All the fake weather news was predicting 100% rain chance, 99% rain. It didn't rain a drop. And they put out that fake news so that the crowds would be low. People don't want to go out in the rain. Like it's been raining here in South Florida all day, so I've been in the house. Right? It's been lightning. I don't even want to go take out my garbage. I don't want to get wet or struck by lightning. So they put out this news for 100% chance of rain, 99% chance of rain at the Army Parade to keep people from going. Doesn't rain a single drop. So if the political news is fake, we now know the weather news is fake. Why wouldn't you think that the movie reviewers isn't fake news too? It's all fake news. And the sports is just as bad. Remember when Tim Tebow went to New York? The sports media were having freakouts. They're all fake news, liberal news. Mm-hmm. USA is USA first. That is correct. Shouldn't we be? Yeah. Yep. But no, a year ago today, the Never Trumpers shot Trump. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a pretty scary day. And then when they try to do it again at the golf course, holy smokes. Isn't that's terrifying? Absolutely terrifying. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Fight, fight, fight. I mean, imagine, you get hit like that, even in the ear like that. It hurts. It's got to hurt like a son of a gun. And to get up like that, covered in blood. When Trump ducked, which was really interesting. I've heard him talk about it, and interviewed about it, but I haven't heard anybody ask him if he trained for that, because the way he ducked, and he ducked down, he was all down. It was just the perfect, way. But when the Secret Service people around the stage did the right thing, they got on top of him. But remember, they wanted to carry him out, and he said no. Now, there's one video that you don't see very often because, anything that makes Trump look like what he is, a great man, they don't want to show. But there was a video when he got to the emergency room. It's a very short video taken by a woman. She's in the emergency room with her family, and she saw the Secret Service pull up. So she takes her cell phone, she films it. You see the motorcade pull up in front of the ER, and you see the Secret Service people get out with rifles. And they didn't even know what happened. And then the woman sees President Trump, and you see him, and his face is covered in blood, and she starts crying. But he walked right into the hospital. I mean, right there, boom. Most of us would not do that, okay? Most of us would not do that. No. Who would stage something to have live ammo fired at them like that? No. Nobody would stage something like that. Nope. Sad thing. Pretty scary. And I mean, that was such a turning point so far as red pilling people, like Bobby Kennedy Jr. That was it for him. Boom. Now, that's why he came out in support of Trump, was because of that. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Yep, my name's Brian, if you're new. Now, during the week, I live stream. I upload my podcast here, I do a radio show, I live stream here, and I take live calls from the studio. So make sure you follow, subscribe, click the notification bell. Yeah, exactly. I mean, 3 other people got shot. One of them was killed. That's, nobody would take those kind of chances with live ammo. But, that's how liberals are. Liberals are, That's right. Well, listen, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, okay? Take care.